and welcome to Watches Tonight.
Hey, we're back. Thursday. Today's Thursday, right?
Today is Thursday.
Today's Thursday. Trading desk.
Jumping in, Xander T asks, I know you're not a fan of tribute watches, Tim, and copycat designs, but are there any tribute watches or knockoffs that actually surpass the original in your opinion? This is an interesting question because on occasion, the innovator in a space, and it could be watches, cars, aeronautics, anything, winds up launching a first-generation product of a new concept only to see competitors take notes, make improvements, and launch a response that surpasses the original, which is more innovative but perhaps less appealing. So consider the landmark Mercedes-Benz Cls from the 2000s. It created the four-door coupe genre. It's a segment of car that did not exist before this one. That said, it was important, it was impressive, but it was not better than the Audi S7. The Audi S7, more attractive in every way, also innovated by adding a hatch to the fastback roofline, which was like adding bacon to eggs. It just made sense for this kind of car. So in that vein, let's talk about the 1976 Patek Philippe Nautilus. It was a more versatile watch than the Royal Oak. We know the Royal Oak came first from the same designer in 1972, but guys, just alternate between them so people can see what I'm talking about. The Nautilus, compared to the mechanistic outline of the Royal Oak, the Nautilus feels more organic, closer to its namesake, its maritime namesake, in spirit and form. It's fluid, it's almost biomorphic, and it better balances via the wing system, the 9 o'clock and the 3 o'clock side, while reducing the prominence of the crown to create a more symmetrical and thus more visually appealing case, at least to yours truly. I'll also mention that Patek, if you take a close look here, can we go full screen on that, guys? Sometimes we have tech limitations, but when you go full screen, you can see that Patek shaped the inner bezel to flank the dial in a fashion that echoes the exterior contours of the watch, while the AP is conventionally round on the inside, which clashes with the highly angular and creased exterior of the watch. It's not a fully realized concept, and although they are close in outright dimensions, the Royal Oak winds up looking thicker than the Nautilus, which has a more pleasing proportion. So that's an example of a well-known follow-up Me Too watch that surpassed the original, at least in my assessment, and I could back it up, but you may differ in opinion. The 1994 Omega Turbulent is up for less debate. Omega watchmaker Maurice Grimm had been loaned to Audemars Piguet during the 1980s to help move the Tourbillon Automatique of 1986, AP's first series production tourbillon, from concept to reality. Both of the watches, the Omega and the AP that came before it, featured a dial-side tourbillon, which was pioneered by alternately Daniel Roth, Franck Muller, and AP during the 1980s, but it became a signature with AP and Omega. The difference is that the Omega, if we can go to the Omega Tourbillon, it is better balanced than the Audemars Piguet because the automatic system in the Omega is a circulating rotor, allowing a round and conventionally assembled case. Now, it's true that in this first generation watch, the rotor was built into the case back, but it worked like a normal automatic. It was more efficient than the hammer-wind system in the AP. It was more attractive than the ovoid and, frankly, somewhat dated Audemars Piguet case architecture with its hinge lug structures. That is very much of the 80s, and it's of the 80s in a way that has not aged gracefully. It is better sized at 38 millimeters. The Audemars Piguet, by contrast, is literally the size of most standard postage stamps. And I would say more enduring, the Omega Tourbillon Central is still part of the collection in the DeVille model line today. It looks as graceful and apropos as a flagship model for one of the great brands as it did back in 1994 for the centenary of the Omega name. Today, the AP Automatique, by comparison, looks like a product of its age that is still stuck in that era. It's historically more important than the Omega, and it was the innovator in series production tourbillon and the first ever automatic tourbillon. That said, between the two, the Omega has aged better. It's simply the winner in this comparison. Okay, 2007, Longines. Longines basically created the vintage tribute dive watch segment in 2007 with the Longines Legend Diver, and it is, in its own right, a modern classic. It does not bask exclusively in reflected glory because it pioneered a segment. That said, consider everything it brought to the table: a vintage look but with modern build quality, a warranty, and as a dive watch looking thing, it was actually diveable, unlike any dive watch from the 1960s. That was before the tribute watch genre was even a thing, and then 5 years later in 2012, Tudor launches the Heritage Black Bay, and with one watch, Tudor basically co-opted the entire segment that Longines and others had pioneered. Today, if you talk about vintage tribute divers, this is the first watch that comes up. In fact, it's often the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth watch that comes up. And it has been relentlessly upgraded as Tudor has added in-house calibers, COSC certification, bronze cases, thinner cases, black cases, chronographs, GMTs, straps of all descriptions, bracelets, retailer editions for Harrods and Bucherer, and all manner of bezel colors. In almost every instance, Tudor mostly held the line on price, making that evolution even more impressive. Today, if you asked me which watch exemplifies a product class that Longines created, I would have to say it's the Black Bay, and it's not even close.
And Manjos is like, well, I'm going to need a 4-watch roll because I got to take my dinner watch that matches my fedora and my board shorts, and I got to take. So why don't you? We'll start with your kind of theory here.
Well, I mean, I always go. I never go anywhere without a Rolex, just because, again, it is my Swiss Army tool. Usually it's my Batman, but the deep sea, especially if I'm going in the ocean, I love this thing.
Sure.
There's something about. I'm a very serious vacation person. We go every year for a big family vacation. It's my one time to try to relax and lay it, just lazy.
Right.
But I love watches, so it makes me happy on vacation to change a watch when I'm going to a different place or doing something different. It's part of the thing. I can see wearing one, but I like changing them up, and it's kind of like I'll be sitting on the beach going, it's pretty cool, sitting around. So I always wear one of my Rolexes. I also have a Panerai on a rubber strap.
Okay.
It's a great thing to wear fishing, out in the boat. You're banging it around, same kind of thing.
That's the workhorse.
It's the workhorse. It's comfortable. It's my lightest watch. I don't usually do a lot of light watches, but that's the rubber watch thing. This particular one I love, just because it's 1,000 meters.
Right.
It's got a super thick crystal, which gives you that cool
64.
optical. It's got the great luminous on it, so it glows like crazy at night. It's a beast. It's beefy, but again, on the rubber strap, it really wears well. So I love that kind of thing.
Makeshift anchor.
Makeshift anchor, if you can.
There you go.
Yeah, that's your Swiss Army.
Yeah, so PAM 64, super cool watch, submersible, like you said, 1,000 meter. This is, you could do some damage in this thing. This could actually be something I would just wear this watch, like one watch. I think the one watch thing for me comes with how, like, I also don't switch my watch every day. I like to wear my watches like 1 week at a time.
Right.
So I'm not the guy that's like, what should I wear today? And think about it for 20 minutes. That's fine. A lot of people are. But I'm not switching it every single day. And I actually find comfort in like wearing the watch for a prolonged amount of time and enjoying it even more so, I think. It's like if you have a good pair of shoes that fit really well because you've worn them in, or you have 50 pairs of shoes that look brand new because you only wear them once every. So, right. I don't know. I think that the cool thing for us when you go on vacation and you get to kind of unplug a little bit is you get to enjoy this like people that aren't what we do. Correct. Enjoy the product.
More often when I'm at work and every day, I wear the same watch all the time.
Right.
But when I tend to change more watches when I travel.
When you're running around, you're going, oh, I got to do this. I gotta do this.
Exactly. It's a work thing. When I'm on vacation, it's like I'm slowing down and I'm thinking about changing a watch. The Tudor's another one that I have it just like this.
You actually own, so
I
you
own
own
this
watch.
exact watch in this configuration.
Mike Manjos owns this watch too.
Yep.
Same watch.
It's a Heritage Chrono. Again, a remake of what they did back in the 70s. Love the colors, love the blue, love the chronograph. I think it's a bargain price too. I mean, it's a watch that's a $4,000 piece. I actually have a belt that matches it that my kids make ultimate fun of me on when I wear it.
I have seen this belt. I did see him wear this belt. And
granted, it's a little much, but I actually like it, and I will do it on vacation just to annoy my children because that's my job. But again, super comfortable to wear. I like chronographs in general. Again, I think I like Tudors.
It's definitely a value play. I mean, it's a super cool chronograph with some vintage appeal. You see the subdials. So yeah, this is the reissue of what we call the Monte Carlo.
Right. It comes in different color combinations. The blue and orange is my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. If that doesn't scream like retro chrono, right?
It's cool.
But you get all the modern movement. You get some advantages to it's actually water resistant.
Right.
which is nice. And then Tudor does a great job with these. They're like hand woven on old
They're
worlds.
unbelievable. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but they have
Yeah.
this, this one factory that they basically took over in Italy that makes them by
Old world looms, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I see that video, I always think of that movie Wanted, where he reaches into the. But yeah, so like Tudor does these buckles that's the Tudor crest, and they've always
a lot of
they do
detail
some
for
really cool stuff
yeah.
for not a lot of money. Is the belt? Your belt's not made by these people. By the.
It is a Tudor belt.
Is
Yes.
so
It was a
extra
present.
fancy.
Yes.
All right. Did the belt come before the watch? Or did the
No,
watch
it came
come?
after the watch. I actually had the watch, and then the belt came as it was a Basel present a few years back.
There you go. All right, so this is like I'm flying the plane to my vacation spot, and
There was a couple places I've been
shit
that I
is
might
about
have
to
wanted
hit
to
the
have
fan.
that. We were about 10 miles from the border of Guatemala 2 years ago. That was like in the jungle. That maybe I should have this watch.
This is the reason I like. So the orange is cool. The reason I kind of like this watch is this was an expensive watch when it came out. Right, the Emergency was a professional tool, and this is
Yeah.
the titanium.
Correct. It was
So
not.
this was not something you played around with unless you knew what you were doing.
When you first came out, you actually had to be a licensed pilot,
Right.
And you had to sign and file with the
Very
FAA.
serious
Very
business.
serious thing, and then it got kind of mainstreamed afterwards.
Right. So it's cool in the ridiculous way now that it was a serious piece of equipment then that is almost has no function. I mean,
It's
aside
basically
from
a bar
the,
watch at this point.
I mean, aside from what my watch, the anti-digi and having some functionality, this guy right here, for those of you that are watching or listening, don't know, is an antenna that you pull out in an emergency situation.
And it comes out like 3 feet, and you're supposed to
throws
tie it
out-
to a tree. And,
it throws out a beacon which can be tracked and locate your position.
Marines will come get you.
This runs on a different frequency than what the newer ones do.
Correct.
So
But maybe in the
almost
country
obsolete.
I'm going to still uses
Yeah.
that old frequency.
Almost obsolete, but super cool, all titanium, kind of fun, funky watch for not a tremendous amount of money.
And it's a great orange.
And I would argue that older Breitlings are better Breitlings.
Yeah, the new one, I mean, what they did to the new one, it's 50-something millimeters. I mean, it's unwearable. I love big watches, but I mean, it's a tank and it's 15 grand.
Yeah.
So the new one's got a little crazy.